Hey guys, welcome to 2020 in April. It has been a wild ride, hasn't it? We can call it that. Originally, my intentions were to document 2020 in a 9x12 album, but once we got into March with no end in sight for the self-isolation, I figured I should probably do a 6x12 at least for the first half of the year. For my cover, I tend to pick a more generic album cover instead of doing photos because I always have the hardest time picking out photos and sometimes they'll go blank without the photos. So what happened was that earlier I had pulled out some of my 12x12 paper and I had left some of it on top of my printer, and there was this one piece of paper that caught my eye. It was pink with yellow lemon slices, and I thought, oh, that would be really pretty. But once I put it up against the numbers that I wanted to use, I didn't like it so much anymore. So I ultimately went with this paper that is from the Pink Fresh Studios Out and About collection. As for the large numbers, when Ali Edwards Weekend Life products came out last month, I ordered 2 sets of the large numbers because I originally wanted the 2020 with large numbers, but then I decided that I wanted a little bit of gold, so I went with these thickers. And I had a little bit of a hard time trying to figure out how I wanted to space them out, and looking back on it now, I'm like, I should have just gone with the first one, but obviously that's not how I roll, so here I am spacing them out and then changing my mind. And by the way, I should just point this out now, but in February, I think it was, I got some bangs and I didn't iron them lately. They are wild. So you've been warned, you may see them in this video. I tried to cut them out as much as I could, but you will still see them from time to time and they're a little bit wild. Alright, so what I did here was I peeled off the plastic on there and I wanted to adhere the 20 using my vellum adhesive, but it was not sticking at all. So out came my trusted tiny attacher to save the day. They were a little flimsy, so I wanted to see if I could get some other glue on there, and this is some planner glue that I didn't even remember having, and that actually worked pretty well, surprisingly. I came to regret this decision later on, but you'll see why in a little bit. So I spent the first half of January in Canada. I was actually there for a month, but I had a really bad cold for 2 weeks, so I didn't take many photos at all, which totally ruined my December daily. But like I said, it was one bad cold. I didn't even feel like taking photos on Christmas Eve. It was that bad. When I was originally planning this spread, I really wanted to use a Happy Brand New Year card, but I found it to be too busy with our puppy filter. So I opted for the Wood Veneer 2020 with a striped filler card. I usually don't like the look of wood on these, so I just wanted to paint it with some of the acrylic paints that I have. I was thinking maybe like a blush at first, and then I wanted to match with the blue of the book leaves and the 20, one of the 20s on our picture from New Year's. First, I grabbed a small piece of wood veneer that I knew I would not be using to make sure it worked before I wrecked the 2020, and I got paint all over my fingers and scissors trying to open the little paint tube. When there's foil on top, you know, when the medication, it usually has the other end to be able to poke it, but I was not prepared for it to come out like that. So anyway, I think it worked really well. I used a dabber instead of a paintbrush because I don't know where my paintbrushes are. I think, I don't know if I have any spare paintbrushes for acrylic. I can only think of my cookie ones that are like in the basement, but the dabber worked just fine. I didn't mention that I'm mainly using Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit from January. So the chipboard stickers, some of the journaling cards, the Wood Veneer 2020, and the word stickers are from this kit. The saying goodbye and saying hello sticker was perfect for a New Year's celebration at my parents' home. My husband made us some amazing margaritas, and we celebrated earlier with my parents before they went to bed. We did an early countdown for them, and we played some Luigi's Mansion 3 and watched TV. I wasn't sure which side I wanted the striped card on at first, but then I decided that I liked it better on the right side. And whenever I put together two 3x4 cards side by side, I always tape them so that they don't move around within the pocket if they're going into a 4x6 pocket. When I was going to adhere the 2020 onto the journaling card, I thought, the glossy accents glue would be perfect. And then I realized, I should have just used double-sided tape. So I used it in some parts just in case the glossy accents glue did not work well enough. Now, if you're not familiar with Buckley's, they're a brand of cold medicine in Canada, and their cough syrup is really well known. It tastes like, I would imagine, liquid vapor rub or pine sol tastes like. It's really gross, but it works really well. Unless, your coughs are asthma related, then you just have to get a puffer for that. Anyway, we just had to replenish our stock because our stock in Germany was expired. For the bottom corner, I wanted a journal card where I could document the 3 stories from these 3 pictures, and I wanted it to say January on it. I pulled out the January Memories stamp that came with the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit, but it was taking up an extra space. So instead, I grabbed the January stamp from Carrie Bradford's About Time set. The ink I used for the stamps is from Kelly Purkey, but I don't think it's available online anymore. I chose these colors to match with the stripes in the filler card above. And then I pulled out the word stickers from the December Stories by the Month kit, and that one says Memories, and this way it fit all in one line. The battery on the camera had run out and I didn't realize that it had stopped recording, but fortunately we only missed a tiny little bit, which was me stamping the numbers 1, 2, and 3 using the Artist Gather Flip Retro 2.0 set, and I journaled on the card. I used another word sticker from the Stories by the Month kit on the photo from Panera, and let me tell you, I really miss Panera bread. I added a little heart from Felicity Jane onto the photo of Buster. Poor Buster, he's so grumpy in this photo, and that was either because he got way too much love over the Christmas break or because my husband left, and he loves my husband. Remember how I said that I would regret gluing down the numbers earlier? Yeah, this was a little bit of a pain in the butt. However, I was able to get the cards back in without having to re-glue it later on. One of the Christmas traditions that we have is to play some Nintendo games over the break. Usually we all get together and play Mario Party on Christmas Eve, but since we now have nephews who are 3 and 1, we didn't get to do that this year. However, my husband and I did play a lot of Luigi's Mansion 3, which is a great game in case you're looking for a new game to play if you were one of the people who got Animal Crossing and the Switch to pass some time during self-isolation time. Totally admit I've been playing it. I'd created a journal card originally with the image of the video game box, but when it came down to it, I wanted an Instax photo on there instead. So I went and grabbed the box and took the photo, brightened it a bit, and then I printed it out. I struggled with printing it because I hadn't used a printer since last summer. I also wasn't sure what I was going to do with the extra space, but I just slapped a word sticker on it, and then I just stapled it using my tiny attacher. Even though I already had the name written on the Instax picture, I wanted a proper title. I'll have the file for this journal card available for download on my blog and on the link below in a couple of different colors in case you'd like to review a video game yourself. Next, I'm going to be working on a journal card about us going to visit Dusty. Dusty was my cat for 13 years, and he had been living at my parents' house for about 3 years because our Tuxedo Maine Coon was bullying him really badly. I had gone to visit him in September of 2018, and he went missing a few days after I left. Despite my family's efforts, he was not found. And in June of last year, my sister got a phone call that he had been found. He was actually taken into this couple's home by their own cat. He was injured and looked like a stray cat, and so they hadn't taken him in, fearing that the Humane Society would put him down. Anyhow, I had seen him in the summer, and at that point it had only been 9 months since I had seen him, and he didn't seem to remember me. He kind of did at the end, but he just walked away and hid from us. And my mom and I went to visit him before I left in January, and he still treated me like a stranger, which was super sad, but he is getting up there in age. He's almost 15 now, but I was glad that I was still able to go and see him, even if he doesn't really remember me. So please make sure that your pet is microchipped. That way, if anything happens to them, you have a higher chance of knowing what happened to them and maybe even getting them back someday. So for this card, I used Carrie Bradford's Thick and Thin Alpha stamps to put in the title. I cut down one of the journal cards from the Stories by the Month kit to a 3x4, and then I just added some journaling to it. This little heart is also from Felicity Jane. My mom babysits my nephews a few times a week on the days that they don't go to daycare, and this photo was taken when she was driving us to my sister's place. It was so foggy that you could hardly see the CN Tower. I just added a chipboard sticker and a word sticker to the photo. Moving on to the next page, I had a small photo that I wanted to use, so I was looking for 2 cards, one for the photo and one for the journaling. I like these 2 3x4 cards that went nicely together. I also checked the 4x6 cards to see if I liked any of them, but I decided against it and went with the 2 that I had originally picked out. I added a title for the card, which was Sister QT for quality time, for those of you who don't know. And then I added a word sticker and some journaling. I don't know how long I've had this sticker set, but the alphas were not cooperating, so I pulled out a glue pen and secured them down. During my last couple of days in Toronto, I wanted to spend some extra quality time with my nephews. They're so adorable and they just grow up way too fast. To these photos, I added a little bit of journaling. Then I added some words just describing the photo, such as yum, when my nephew found Natash that my dad had brought, his selfie, when I took a selfie with my 1-year-old nephew, and then the last one is brothers. I added the dates to the photos since they were 2 separate days, and then I put them in their pockets. And we're finally on to the last page. I have the obligatory shot of my passport and boarding pass, and I added a word sticker to it, along with the date. It felt like there wasn't much of a wrap-up of my trip, and I saw some photos that reminded me of some of the memories that I wanted to preserve. These weren't captured by photos, so I wanted to include them in some manner, and so I decided to add a flip pocket. I wrote a bit of journaling around my selfie and I added the date. To the photo of my passport, I added the sticker "Let's Go" by Everyday Explorers. Here I am looking for a card to put on the other side of my passport photo. I like this blush one, and I chose the sticker "A New Chapter Begins Now" from the Stories by the Month kit because it felt like my new year didn't start until I went back to Germany. I used a 3x4 photo flip pocket by Snap, and for the tab, I used an Avery holographic tab. I wrote memories on it with a Sharpie. I made some cake pops for a friend's birthday, and for this photo, I just added a label with a little bit of journaling. For the last two photos, I decided to stick with the yellow Snap Alphas and added Fluffy to Chloe's photo, that's one of her nicknames, and Nap Time to Maya's photo since she was taking a nap with her daddy. I added a chipboard sticker to Chloe's photo and a Felicity Jane heart to Maya's photo. I am using a 6x12 album that I purchased on Walmart.com. I used them for my 2017 and 2018 albums. They're around $10 or $11, but I don't use the inserts that come with them because they're too flimsy. And that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have any questions, and if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed so you won't miss the first part of March 2019 coming up really soon. Bye.